Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to be watching the most embarrassing deaths in royal history. I think. Yes, I did get that right. Okay. Before we get the video though, this is a video from one of my favorite channels called Chat History. The link is down in the description of this video and the rest of the channel. Please go check it out after you watch this one and check out his whole channel. He has a ton of really good content. Also, make sure you go to gamersubs.gg and use code Blarg or code Cozy for 10% off.
Embarrassing royal deaths.
Does anyone buy gamersubs at full price? I hope not, because they could just use code Blarg, code Cozy, code Goons, code Clue, code S7. They could use any of those things to get 10% off. So I don't know why the you'd ever buy gamersubs full price, but you really should use code Blarg or code Cozy, because those ones are the best. No bias whatsoever. This guy just died.
This is Louis III, and this is his dad, Louis II, King of West Francia, also known as the Kingdom of the Franks. Hey Frank. Hey Frank. Louis II here is renowned for being a very peaceful and very loving ruler for his very short 2-year reign between the years of 877 and 879. And now, he's dead, which is even more peaceful. Now, Louis III is the king-to-be at the ripe old age of 16. But since his parents married in secret before he was slopped out, his claim to the throne is being questioned. Now, in order to keep things civil, Louis had struck a—
Sorry, did he just say slopped out? Did I hear slopped out? That's a weird way to say that. I don't like that. I don't like saying you slopped out of a cooter. Now you're ready to go. Hold on, let me make me smaller. Boom, get smaller than me.
Deal with his younger brother to rule together. And with that agreement, West Francia was split in two. Okay, this is my half, and there's yours. Fine by me. My side has the Xbox.
Xbox Live? Oh, I get it. That's funny.
Louis III got the north, and his brother, Carloman II, got the south. Together, the two brothers fought off—
That's actually ass. Do you know how much better the south of France is than the north? You know how shit it is up here? It's just fucking rainy and cold. Down here, you're gambling, you're fucking chilling on the ocean. Great time.
The north, and his brother, Carloman II, got the south. Together, the two brothers fought off any would-be usurpers from East Francia who contested their reign. Battles were fought for over a year with some back and forth, but ultimately ended in a loss, and a portion of their kingdom was ceded to the east. But while East Francia celebrated its victory, a distant threat loomed over the horizon. Those dang Vikings were showing up in 881 and began to pillage the village and plunder asunder. However, East Francia, still riding their high, managed to kick the Vikings shit in. Not wanting to sail their ships home in shame, the Vikings instead tried their luck with West Francia. Bad move. They would soon learn that two kings were better than Vikings. Louis and Carloman went on the offensive and took the invaders by surprise. Together, the brother armies slaughtered the Vikings, cutting down around 9,000 men in the clash. This victory was absolutely huge for the two young monarchs, who were praised by—
Bro, can you imagine, can you imagine just chilling? You're in a fucking thatch mud hut, all right? You're in a fucking little shit-ass house. Maybe it's brick, some sort of concrete-based style thing. You're hanging out. You're minding your business. You look out on the ocean, and you see a bunch of 6'4" fucking big, burly white boys just carrying a bunch of axes. Dude, I'm good, man. You can have it. You have my village. I don't even want it. I don't want it anymore. It's actually all yours. Fuck that. That'd be scary as hell. 9,000. Oh, well, that's just how many you died. I'd probably, you assume there's at least double that are there then. I don't know. Shit's crazy to me, bro.
Western and Eastern Frankish kingdoms. Now keep in mind that both kings were teenagers, so the ego trip was insane. That being the case, Louis took to finding himself a queen, as to produce an heir and to cement his legacy. Louis decided to pursue love in 882 and ended up quite literally pursuing a potential partner. In a bout of hopefully consensual horseplay, the young maiden fled from the eager monarch on horseback to her father's house.
That's fucking crazy.
Louis, very calmly hunting down his love interest,
ended
up completely conking his dome on the top of a low doorway. That's certainly one way to get head. And since he had yet to sow his seed, his younger brother was left to rule on his own. Well, he died 2 years later after being accidentally stabbed by his servant during a hunting trip. Bummer.
What?
It's stories like this.
How do you get stabbed on a hunting trip? What were you trying to stab? What the fuck does that mean, accidentally stabbed on a hunting trip? How? deer here. I guess if you like miss and then hit him in the back there. Nah, bro. That's cap. That's got to be cap. I accidentally stabbed a deer. What do you mean? What were you trying to stab? What the fuck is this?
Just to make you realize just how stupidly fragile we all are. Just like that, a family lineage is cut short. Imagine if your great-great-great-great-grandmother fell in the shower, completely erasing the possibility of your existence.
That would have probably been a good thing.
Poor guy probably didn't even know who she was. But he could have, with today's sponsor, MyHeritage.
You don't get a sponsor in my video. Alright.
Little Basil I was quite the inspirational success story. Born into a dirt-poor Armenian family in the Byzantine province of Macedonia way back in 811, baby Basil had quite the social ladder to climb. But such a challenge was deemed necessary as he was determined to dodge his destitute destiny. Too bad that he and his family were captured by Bulgarians when he was just 2.
Not the
Luckily,
Bulgarians!
Basil was able to escape his captors. Just took 23 years. He sought to live out his newfound freedom and fled to Constantinople, which is not yet Istanbul. Possessing incredible strength and an uncanny ability to roll 20s on any and all charisma checks, Basil made leaps and bounds up that social ladder. He began working as a lowly stable boy, got promoted to servant under a relative of the emperor, met a wealthy cougar noblewoman who just threw money at him, dabbled in sweaty, slippery wrestling, and then took on a gig as a bodyguard for Supreme Empire King Emperor guy Michael III. Now, you'd figure that being a bodyguard to the Emperor would be a great place to coast until retirement, but Basil was just getting started. He managed to gain the utmost...
Back then, that sounds ass, because everyone used to just fucking stab everyone. Like, if you're in power for more than, like, a month, you're gonna get stabbed.
Trust of the Emperor, even being formally adopted as a son. And taking advantage of this, Emperor Mikey had been convinced by Basil that his own uncle was secretly plotting to take the throne, so he gave Basil permission to address the issue. He did. This false act of loyalty resulted in the Emperor crowning Basil as co-emperor, which was not his best move. You see, Emperor Michael III wasn't very good in his decision-making, which is probably why the public didn't favor him all that much. Basil had one last obstacle in the way of the crown: his newly adoptive dad. But that's nothing a quick swipe of a sword can't fix.
Wild.
Basil dropped the co in his title and was now the full-fledged emperor of the Byzantine Empire in 867. Despite having zero qualifications for the job, Basil's establishment of the Macedonian dynasty brought the Byzantine Empire into a golden age, with various military victories, large-scale construction, and significant cultural and...
Yeah, what did I just say? Guess they're all getting stabbed. Literally fucking stabbed by the guy that's supposed to be protecting you. It's fucking crazy.
Problem is, when you get into power through murder, you're always going to be looking over your shoulder for the next person trying to do the same thing to you. Now, I'm not going to question the logistics of it, but during a routine hunting trip in 886, the now elderly Basil managed to get his belt stuck in a deer's antlers. Yeah, I don't know. The animal went wild, as animals tend to do, dragging Basil across the Windows XP default landscape for 16 whole miles. That's at least 2 kilometers. A servant had managed to cut the Emperor free, but the damage was done. Although somehow still alive, the Emperor sustained tremendous injury. The servant, still brandishing his iconic belt-cutting knife, was accused of attempted murder and was sentenced to death. Wait, what?
That's insane.
Emperor Basil I died a bit later from his infected wounds.
Okay.
Old Edmund Ironside was King of England for a whole 7 months in 1016 after his rad dad Athelred II died under unknown circumstances. Poor Edmund rose to power at a pretty bad time. Those gosh damn Vikings were gaining a foothold in England, and they needed a stern talking to at the very least. Not just any Vikings though, these were Danish Vikings, which were much more
I actually looked more into that one. He didn't actually die from laughing too hard. He was extremely drunk. And it's more than likely that he just had a heart attack because he was already extremely unfit, very drunk, which is a blood thinner. And yeah, probably that was the main cause. The laugh just happened to kick things off. It's not really what killed him.
Formidable, flaky, and flavorful. The 26-year-old king fought back hard against the Viking invaders, throwing whatever English forces he could at them, and saw quite a few victories. granting the king the nickname Ironside for his resilience. But even though he won a few
Like the
battles,
Transformer.
he had yet to win the war. The final conflict, the Battle of Ascendon, near modern-day Essex, ended in Danish victory, where there was much rejoicing and many crumbs. Following this English loss, a treaty was signed by King Edmund and Viking King Canute. Canute, being a real Canunt, agreed to allow Edmund to continue his reign, but only with the control of Wessex, the heart of Anglo-Saxon England. All English land north of the River Thames was now under Danish control. Now, there was a special stipulation that stated whichever king died first, the other shall inherit the whole country. That sounds like great motivation for assassination plots. Lo and behold, just 1 month later in October of 1016, Edmund Ironside met with a terrible fate.
Who could
While
have seen
sitting
this
on
coming?
his second most important throne, an assailant was assigned to assassinate the king's ass. Yep, old Ironsides caught a blade between his cheeks when he was at his most vulnerable. According to some
No way, he got stabbed in the ass.
historical sources, an assassin hid under the king's private turlet, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
Dude, what if this guy like fell asleep down there though? And he didn't even get to like, he was just waiting down there for hours, just with his little fucking, getting ready to do that. And he falls asleep and he wakes up and just fucking, just right on his face. Doesn't even get him. He's fucking, he's stun locked. He's all confused. Probably died of some sort of infection.
Edmund, as planned, died of his wounds,
Dude, that's
granting
insane.
King Canute full control over England, which he ruled for 2 decades.
Damn. Stabbed in the ass, huh?
Being the youngest son of 4 to William the Conqueror, Henry I didn't even have a chance at becoming a Burger King, let alone any kind of respected monarch.
That's a
When
bad
Dad
crown.
and William
Makes you
logged
say
off
bad
the
words on
server
an
in
airplane.
1087, the late king's possessions were divided as such. His eldest son, Robert, inherited Normandy
Robert.
and was made duke. His second son, Richard,
Hello,
got
Richard.
nothing. He
Oh.
was dead. From a hunting accident, no less. His third and favorite
All right,
son,
bro.
William, inherited the crown of England.
Chad, if you've learned anything from this video, don't go hunting ever. I
was
guess.
begrudgingly promoted to King William II overnight. I say begrudgingly because it is believed that William II would have preferred to inherit Normandy. Oh well. Finally, little Henry was given lots of money and a tiny bit of English countryside. But that was immediately yoinked by his now king brother, which never caused any internal resentment in the coming years.
Yeah.
Now, some historians believe that King William 2.0 didn't care much for his new majestic role, and as a means of escape from his kingly duties, he frequently went on hunting trips. You can
Here we go.
probably see where this is going.
Yeah.
During one of these trips, William, who wasn't much of an adventurer, took an arrow in the chest. Now, since lungs aren't where arrows are usually stored, William
not good.
quivered in pain as the arrow knocked the wind out of him, and
Yeah, not
drew
a
his
good
last
spot.
breath shortly after. Yeah, hunting trips are lethal to nobility. Of course, some historical speculations suggest that the friendly fire may not have been so friendly. It is possible that the fiasco was a plot concocted by Henry to seize the crown. After hearing of his older brother's demise through his own ear holes, Henry speed ran to the royal treasury and no-clipped to the crown to claim the throne for himself, which certainly didn't help dispel the rumors of foul play. Now, the public wasn't exactly against what had happened, as King William II was a bit of a dick. As the new head honcho, King Henry I immediately began a rollback on many of his late brother's brutal policies, replacing them with much more successful judicial and financial reforms. Being the most educated of the 4 brothers, Henry peacefully ruled England and progressed the kingdom during his reign. Sure, he also invaded Normandy and held his last brother prisoner for life, but that's beside the
fine.
point.
It happens.
Henry eventually married a Scottish princess and had himself 2 legitimate children that he loved very much, and dozens of illegitimate little crotch goblins whom he didn't.
Daddy, I want a popsicle.
Now, of course, there has to be a little bit of conflict sprinkled in, so
How
his
was
son
he
and
there?
only heir got caught up in the White Ship disaster of
Okay.
1120, which was
Alright,
a
bro.
titanic tragedy. The titular White Ship, a vessel transporting around 300 people, including many nobles, struck a big old boulder and sank in the
How?
English Channel. Only one soul survived, but it wasn't the prince, so who cares? This sent Henry into a depressive spiral, as many of his subjects refused to recognize his daughter as a rightful heir to the crown. A woman ruling? Ugh, gross, said the
Real.
English.
Real.
In his sad state, Henry cheered himself up the only way a king knows how, with a good old-fashioned hunting trip.
No,
But on
dude.
this trip, Henry gorged himself on lamprey. You know, those weird little wiggly sucking teeth fish? Yeah, apparently those were a delicacy.
Ew.
Despite numerous warnings from his physician to cut it out, Henry continued to chew through the little suckers like candy. Your Majesty, that's a bit much, isn't it?
Ew, dude.
King Henry I contracted food poisoning and died from the illness a week later in 1135 at the age of 66. bringing an end to the Norman dynasty.
I'm a fucking idiot. Like, actually,
King Charles II was an
I don't want to say. Yeah, listen, we're at a different time and a different place, so it's hard for me to like look down and be like, "How are you that dumb?" But also, like, what are you doing? Why would you even eat those things? They're fucking disgusting. It's so weird.
Which is why history remembers him as Charles the Bad. Having
that's
been
a
born
tough
and
name.
raised in France and descending from a line of
Yuck.
French
Sorry to hear
rulers,
that.
Charles felt destined to be the big baguette in charge one day. And when his mother, who was the only daughter of former King Louis X of France, faded from existence, Charles received
they
his
all had the
inheritance,
same fucking
the
name,
paltry
dude?
kingdom of Navarre, a pathetic spit of land in northern modern-day Spain. This sad excuse for a kingdom was an insult to his name, an insult he would never forget. Although now a king at the age of 17, Charles continued to spend his time in France, hoping to build enough influence to gain recognition for his claim to the crown. But he wasn't successful. He would
Tough
spend
luck.
the next several decades double-crossing, manipulating, and backstabbing his way through life, pitting England and France against each other during the 100 Years' War. He had deceived, murdered, and betrayed for the sake of gaining power. He eventually helped spark a revolution in France. No, not the French Revolution. That's not for a while. This uprising was the Jacquerie, a peasant rebellion
what?
in 1358 against French nobles. Charles led a suppressive force against the peasants to appear to be the savior of France, but everyone saw right through the ruse. After that publicity stunt, Charles lost almost all political support in France and had to turn to England for help. He ended up pleading with English King Dude Guy Edward III to invade the weakened France and divide the spoils between them, but King Edward was all, no. The king had zero
Tough.
trust for Charles and refused the offer, eventually making peace with France. For now. A few years later, Charles was back on his bullshit, throwing himself in wars and declaring loyalty to both sides in exchange for gaining land and power. He would just favor whichever side was winning. He did get involved in the Spanish
guy's a
Wars
weenie,
between
bruh.
1365 and 1368, but faked his own kidnapping in order to avoid participating in battle. And that stunt was instantly recognized as cowardice, making Charles a laughingstock of Western Europe. Finally, in 1378, the annoying little fly that was Charlie II was finally swatted. His tiny kingdom was invaded by Spanish forces and promptly wiped out. Charles sought refuge in France and was forced to surrender in shame. Although he retained his crown, he had no power whatsoever. 9 years later, in 1387, Charles the Bad fell ill and was pretty much immobile. His doctor prescribed that his body be wrapped in alcohol-soaked
fuck?
linen sheets, and these sheets were sewn around his body
No
each
way.
night
Is
to
he gonna-
promote any healing. Well, one night when
gonna
finishing up
die
her
of-
king's sewing duties, a maid had no scissors to cut the last thread of the linen. There were no blades to be found that could finish the job. So, what do you think she did? Time's up. The correct answer was
Lit
B.
candle.
In a moment of
And he
completely
fucking caught
terrible
on
judgment, the young maid resorted to using an open
my
flame
God,
candle
bro.
to melt the thread off.
Yeah.
Charles II, who wanted to be a French king so bad, was promptly flambéed in his bed as the maid panicked and fled.
Who could have saw this coming?
Henry II of France was a decent king between the years of 1547 up until his death in 1559. Nothing spectacular, but decent. He's remembered as an advocate for keeping the Catholic faith in France and suppressing them smelly Protestants. He had quite a few either burned at the stake for heresy or had their tongues cut out so they couldn't talk trash about
Okay, so he's kind of
Catholicism.
aggressive. Not
Perhaps
the
his
best.
bigger claim to fame, though, was his participation in ending the Italian Wars, which waged across 65 years. With the signing of the Treaty of Cato Camboises, the deadly wars were finally at an end, and there was much rejoicing. One particular event of celebration was conducted by our subject, King Henry II. To commemorate the end of the
does
wars,
he look
as
so
well as his
like-
daughter's marriage to King Philip II of
He's like
Spain,
snarky.
Henry held a jousting tournament.
I'm sorry, what?
You know,
Hold on. Wait, what?
kind of
Wait.
Spain.
Ooh. Yeesh. Yeesh, that's a bad look.
Henry held a jousting tournament.
Just bro threw in a
You
quick
know,
fact.
that silly
Just a
medieval
fun
sport where two
fact
men
there.
hold long wooden poles on horseback and just charge at each
Yeah,
other
this
trying
is
to
real
knock the other
fucking
off.
stupid.
Yeah, I don't get it either, but hey, it's way more entertaining than baseball. Anyway, King Henry II held the tournament on June 30th, 1559 and took it upon himself to participate as a challenger. Perhaps the last bad decision of his life. Set against his own captain of the King's Guard,
You
the two
dumb
set
fuck.
off to consensually jab their long sticks into each other. With the ASMR pleasures of a wooden crunch, the captain's lance hit its target and shattered upon impact, as they're designed to do. Problem was, some of the splintered wood decided to nuzzle itself right into the king's eyeball for warmth. Oh my god, okay, I'm sorry, you're fine, you're okay. Royal surgeons raced to the king's aid, but were unable to treat the wound. He's gonna be okay.
What was his eyeball? He died from his
Problem
eyeball?
seems to be this big old piece of wood here. I highly recommend he rest up for a few days and we'll see what happens.
Aren't you gonna remove the wood?
I'm sorry, I was unaware that you were the royal surgeon. The medics failed to properly treat the king's wounds, which only got worse over the next
They
few
just
days,
left wood in his
leading
eyeball?
to severe infection.
Yeah, no shit.
I may have been wrong. King Henry II splintered off from this world on June 10th, 1559. What a bunch of
That's
silly
crazy,
stuff,
dude.
right? I have more ridiculous royal deaths on the list, so if you do want to partake,
That's crazy work. Just leaving wood in somebody's eyeball, even back then, seems fucking dumb. Anyway, chat, don't forget to check out Chat History's channel. Like I said, he is the best, as you can tell by these videos. If you do enjoy watching these, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.